Hi everyone, welcome to the Industry Conversations. Thank you for coming in out of the cold because it's bloody freezing and I would be in bed with my electric blanket and hot water bottle. This is the Meet the Media series, part of this series. So if you want to say your name and introduce yourself, my name's Cassie. I do publicity and marketing for this venue, and I also do my own freelance events and bookings. And I work for a bunch of media outlets. It's too many to name. So you guys take it away.
Howdy. My name's Nicole. I've done a lot of different kinds of things, lots of print. I worked as an editor for leader newspapers. They have, I think, 33 titles across Melbourne. Made documentaries for Al Jazeera and SBS2 and worked for the BBC. Now I'm at The Age. And I'm also a director on a charity which does some music events as well. So that's me.
My name's David. I'm a Scorpio. I like long walks on the beach. And every other cliche. I'm primarily a DJ for Triple M in Melbourne, an announcer. It's called Call It What You Will. Hosted a bunch of shows over the years there and throughout Southern Cross Stereo. Also promote local gigs and support Australian bands as much as I can through those gigs. Also a band manager and a blogger and reviewer, writer. Anything to do with music in Australia, I would like to get my hands on it.
My name's Thom. I work for Beat Magazine, which is a local street press rag. For any of you who don't know it, I primarily write the crossword, and I'm also the editorial and advertising coordinator for the weekly press.
Now, how did you all get into your roles? Nikki, we'll start with you.
I'm right next to you, so
that makes it much more simple for me.
Look, my road into journalism, I guess, was, I did a degree. I did arts journalism, and then I got an internship at the BBC, so I packed everything up and went over there, and internship was not really paid very well, so I worked at a bar at night and lived in a house with 10 people in 2 bedrooms. And then kind of just kept at it, I guess. Made a lot of contacts, ended up pitching to a few different broadcasters, and then got a gig at a local rag. And everything's kind of led from there, really.
I did a radio course which teaches you how to good talk stuff and that. And then sent off 42 blind applications around Australia to radio stations because I really wanted to be on air, and got rejection after rejection, so I just kept plugging away at it. Landed a gig writing ads in Lithgow in New South Wales. Beautiful hole in the world, I highly recommend it. And then just work around like a lot of people do when you're trying to get in there. You just got to keep working yourself around and move from place to place, and you move 15 times in 3 years and knock on the right doors, get the right help. And that's what it's all about. And then I finally landed a job at Stereo. And that's it.
That's it?
That's a concise
the end of it?
Summation of about 16 years. Go please, Thom.
16 years.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to condense the same
30
period
seconds.
of time. All right.
16 years in 30 seconds.
All right, so I completely fell ass backwards into it. On the proviso that I've been a musician, working and touring around, and then stopped doing that, started doing more booking related things, and then was approached by Beat after doing a relatively successful job booking a venue to then becoming the venue coordinator for Beat Magazine. Basically, the understanding that I have of how I got where I got is got nothing to do with any kind of qualification. It's more to do with who you know and how much contact you have within the industry, rather than just having a piece of paper that says I can do some radio stuff and what, but everybody comes to it on their own state. That's my 16 years.
That was good.
Yeah, that was very succinct.
Spoke very slow but got a lot out. I liked it. Now I will go back to you, Thom, because you did say that you were playing in bands. What was your first interaction as a musician with media?
Oh, that's a good question. It was a street press. It was Forte magazine from Geelong. They interviewed me over the phone when I was about 16 years old about a gig that I put on in my parents' basement. And
What band were you in?
we're not getting into that.
Oh, come on.
Everybody's got Google. We're not doing that.
I'm gonna Google. Everyone Google Thom.
So I guess you guys broke up then, the band?
Yeah. We're no longer speaking.
It's Thom, Thom, that's how you spell it for all of
And it
those.
was in Geelong, you say?
Yeah.
Wasn't the White Room, was it?
No, nobody in the band was in a wheelchair.
Ah, okay.
That's it. But we used to gig with them.
Good band.
Yeah. They were actually our
No whispers, Thom, everything in the
He
microphone.
was actually our producer.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a straight up Q&A interview for Forte magazine, which I don't know whether that did anything for us at the time because the band was pretty much doomed from the start. I'm not going to get into why. But yeah. What in regards to like, dealing with press as a musician comparatively to being like, on the flip side of that, there's very little room for scope with being the press version, whereas as a musician there's a lot more room for movement. We tend to be kind of squared off by our commercial realities and whatnot. So as a musician, you've actually got a lot more room to move by approaching a lot more different media outlets than the other way around. I'm hindered by being in the media by how many people I can approach and help, whereas the other way around, it works a lot easier.
And Higgo, from a band management point of view and from putting on your own events, so acting as a promoter, do you find that your experience in media helps you get media opportunities, or is it the other way around because you do work in the media, people are deterred by that?
No, it's interesting because prior to starting Distortion, which was a metal show that ran on Triple M for nearly 4 years, I thought that I knew a lot about the local scene when really I knew nothing at all. And once I started the show and had my eyes open to how vast it is from all points of Australia, it became really easy just to talk to bands, and they wanted me to come along and I wanted to come along and I wanted to help and they wanted me to help them. And so it was just like, it knocked down this massive door, but especially with commercial radio, playing that kind of music that I'd never played before. So I felt like I was let into a community that I previously couldn't get into.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that social media made you more accessible for other bands to find you and approach you
Yeah.
to make the show a
Absolutely.
lot more inclusive?
Yeah. It was one of the things actually, just to talk about Distortion for a moment, was when the boss said, I'll give you 40 minutes on a Saturday night. And I said, all right, that's better than nothing. And he said, look, if you can get up to 1,000 likes on your Facebook page, we'll make it an hour. Well, as soon as you put the word out that Triple M might be playing heavy music on a Saturday night, it surpassed 1,000 pretty quickly. And I think that's when they started to realise that they missed a huge part of the market.
Yeah.
Triple J does an amazing job with the Racket, Short, Fast, Loud, and all the community stations do amazing jobs with their shows as well. It's what I listened to when I was growing up. But there still is this massive hole in the market where there needs to be filled. So it was just this sense of, about time. Finally we've got someone to talk to. So it made it a lot easier being from the media.
And from a band perspective, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious, being that Triple M is such a big big media identity, and I guess the same for The Age as well, do you take emails, do you answer emails from unsigned nobodies? And no disrespect, but just...
Yeah, that was 90% of my playlist. When I started the show, the very first show, the boss said, I want to see the playlist and I want to approve it. So, of course, you had to make it all the international big bands that he'd heard of, your Pantera, Sepultura, those sorts of bands. And then after a couple of weeks, he stopped checking. And so then after a couple of weeks, that's when I started to just say, I'm playing whatever the hell I want. And 50% of the show every week by my own designation had to be Australian because it wasn't getting the airplay it deserved. And then more often than not, the show went out to 2 hours, and more often than not there were just whole Australian shows. Every now and again it was just an all Aussie show because, like I said earlier, the talent and the breadth of knowledge was just so far and wide. Every day I had CDs piling into the studio, emails, and I used to get back to all of them because one of the things I discovered was that it didn't matter what the packaging looked like. It could look $1 million, it could be shit. It could come to you in a Glad bag and it'd be the best thing you've heard in 15 years. And that's in my experience. So you had to listen to everything, you had to reply to everything.
In my experience, and probably yours, both of yours, if the packaging looks really good, what's in it is usually...
Well, that's it. They're compensating for something, aren't they? Yeah.
So when I lived in London, I actually worked for a music PR company, and we worked specifically with radio, so we were plugging to radio. And we did a little bit of A&R, and we did a mixture of things, but a lot of it was contacts and who you know, and meeting people and getting that face-to-face kind of relationship. And obviously you need to have good music. But I think that definitely does get you a step ahead. If you can develop some kind of relationship, it opens doors.
It's a weird thing as well, and I'm sure you guys have got this, that when you're on what would have been the other side for you, working at Beat, as a musician, Beat is aspirational. Triple M is aspirational for bands, like Triple J is as well. Everyone wants to get played in it. They want to get reviewed by big places.
And now
when you're in it, it seems weird to act. You can't remember what it feels like to think like that outside person looking in. It's a very strange thing, so you can never take that for granted. People get so excited when they hear their song on the radio, see it featured in an article. Even like, I had friends in bands when I was 18, and if they were in a tiny little bit, look, there's us, we're in Beat. We're playing at the Espy in the basement, but we're in Beat magazine.
I remember my sister overhearing someone reading my band name at the cafe she worked at and laughing because it was a hilarious band name. And calling me, like, someone's talking about it. I was like, that's cool.
That's cool, isn't it?
It's not cool.
It is cool.
Well, it is on a sort of casual thing, but it's not cover of the magazine.
No.
It's not regular play on a national broadcast or even a local broadcast. It's just someone bothered to print their band name. That's kind of awesome.
When I was in a band when I was a bit younger, and we ended up driving to Melton for a community radio station to be on it, and it was the first time we were ever on anything, and it was the most exciting thing. I just remember kind of going into the studio and there were horse racing posters on the walls. It was inside a school, and I was like, well, where am I? Felt like the faculty. I thought someone was going to get killed, but anyway, it was at night. But it was awesome, and just, having that first step in, and, regardless of what media organisation is, how small it is, starting somewhere and then growing from there, it's a great experience even to just get that kind of little bit of exposure, but also, knowing what it's like to be interviewed, knowing what it's like to be on radio, so you improve every time it happens.
Yes.
You look like you're going to say something, Higgo, but from that as
otherwise we'll get stuck on one thing for too long.
What the name of Thom's band was.
No, I'm slowly figuring that out because he said it was a funny name.
Now, I guess when you, from a musician's point of view, as you said, that first interview was good to get that experience. From the other side of point of view, how important is it for bands to be professional when they are approaching media outlets? Or a peer experience?
I feel
Yeah, oh, here we go. Tom looks like he's got something to say.
No, not at all. It depends on the act. If you're a scummy garage punk band, then approach us as a scummy garage punk band. If you're a tight indie rock act, approach us how you are. Be as you package yourself.
This goes back to the packaging on the CD.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you come in looking glossy and you're not really glossy,
Yeah, if you're
it's fake.
Be the glad bag.
How nice is the box that the Big Mac comes in compared to the actual Big Mac? Like the box is sheen, it's beautiful, it's got clean edges, and then you open it up and some 16-year-olds take a spit all over it, and it's half made. It's not good.
I'd like to say thanks to McDonald's for sponsoring us. We love all your burgers.
I think though it depends on what you mean by professional. So, and it depends what media outlet you're going for. So, in terms of like if you're an hour late, I mean that's not great. You want to still be courteous, be yourself, like definitely. But I think you still need to be respectful to whoever it is that's interviewing you. Otherwise, how many people do they interview and they're going to get pissed off, really, I don't know, that's what I think.
I agree to a point. And
Yeah.
I mean, like showing up on time I think that's just something that people do or they don't do.
You'd hope they do.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a radio spot or an interview, you answer the phone. That's just common sense. It's like a job interview. But if once you're inside that job interview, you decide to act like a total lout because it suits what you do as a package, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, totally agree with that. Yeah. Now, as far as professionality, being a professional when you, I can only echo what the two of you said. You've got to get there on time. You just got to show up. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is show up.
Someone affords you an opportunity in this industry.
Yeah, just show up.
It's kind of hard.
Because you never know what can happen from there.
And brush your teeth, don't have bad breath. That's my 2 cents. There's nothing worse
Tell you what, though,
Otherwise it'll be written about, maybe.
Sobriety's not even that important.
No.
No, I've definitely interviewed a lot of drunk people. But it makes it more fun.
And otherwise.
Yeah.
There's been some interesting ones over the years.
Now, you're all in...
We've had the opposite happen at Beat, where our interview has been more wasted than... There's a beautiful story of one of our BTV presenters being removed from Meredith for life.
For life.
What did MGMT interview?
What did they do?
He was off his face and spent the entire time talking about wizards he'd seen. It was amazing. It was like, it's still up, you can watch.
Was it entertaining?
Yeah, but they get up and they pull their mics off and walk out. It's one of the best interviews MGMT ever gave.
That's awesome.
And then where are they now?
Yeah.
I think we're the only country to call them MGMT, by the way. I think everyone else just calls them management.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We're so well spoken, aren't we?
Not really.
Say it how it is. Say it how it is.
I don't really like management. MGMT is way better. I like it.
Yeah, I agree.
They came here and apparently they were quite put out by it.
Wow,
Yeah, right. Now, you're all from different levels of media. So we've got street press, newspaper, radio, internet, blogger. At what point in a band's career should they approach each of you? So I assume street press is first, and then local newspaper, and then radio. What's your experiences?
If I was in a band, I would go straight to street press and I would start at community level. It's grassroots. You've got to build from the bottom. There's no point going straight to the top if you've got nothing below it.
Well, I'd agree with that. I think establishing a relationship with your local street press is probably as important, regardless of what you're trying to do. If you're, even if you're just pushing hot dogs out in front of Cherry Bar at 3 in the morning, it's reasonable and reason enough to tell your local street press that it happens.
And local paper.
And the leader as well.
Yeah, leader, like, you know, it's a street press as well, I guess. Yeah.
It is.
I mean, if you've got a gig coming up, the main things I think are to try and get an idea of when deadlines are and when you're playing, so that, you know, if you give enough notice to actually get in a paper. Otherwise, you approach a weekly paper 2 or 3 days beforehand, it's not getting in.
How many times have you got an email when you were doing the leader that was a day, half a day late? Just oh, we're playing this Saturday. Can you?
All the time.
Every week.
All the time.
2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for those listening, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Monday is the deadline for Big Magazine.
It comes out on Wednesday.
It comes out on Wednesday because printing isn't like the internet. You've actually got to send the information to a printing press. They've got to put the ink on the paper, and then we've got to distribute that. Monday.
Or preferably the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday's better.
And I think as well, picking up the phone, you know, it's so easy to send emails because there's no contact or whatever, but I mean, is that no?
Don't call me.
No, just, I mean, send an email as well, but call and say, hey, did you get my email? We've got this event coming up. Can you please get it in your
Look
paper?
at the look on Tom's face. It's like, never call me.
There are 460 live music venues in Melbourne. So that was 3 live bands per venue every week. Just one night a week. What's that? Anybody can do it maths?
No.
460 times 3.
A lot.
It's a lot.
12, 1380.
Yeah,
I
13,
do not
yep,
want
there you
all
go.
those people calling me.
But if they called you, would you?
Run their kids. It's my job.
So that's the opposite for us. It's like, yeah, call me. On a Friday afternoon, I used to say, you got a gig, call me, and do a big long gig guide live on air.
That's the one thing that we've got over pretty much. No offence, every other publication, and we have the most succinct gig guide in the entire country.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that was the Bible when I was growing up.
We talked about outsourcing it to Korea last year because it was so big,
Wow.
just to save money, but we didn't do it.
Thank God for that.
We have a lovely woman called Gloria who does it.
Good old Gloria.
She's good.
Someone should write a song about her.
Yeah.
Hey. Now, I guess publicists do play a big role in getting media exposure for bands. Some of them. Do you feel like you judge an email from a publicist higher than one directly from a band member or a band manager?
For me, I probably, publicists in general know what they're doing, so it's just that it can be quite formulaic. Okay. And I guess when you look at an email from someone who is from a band specifically, as long as it's got all the info in there, I don't know, I kind of prefer it sometimes. I get so many press releases, like so many, I can't, and sometimes I don't even read them properly. It's terrible. Like I do generally, but yeah, you get hundreds and hundreds, and so to have someone, I guess, contact you directly and say, hey, Nicole, my name, I think you'd be really interested in this. I mean, that's good to me. As long as you make sure that you are meeting the requirements of the publication or the radio show or the television broadcast or whatnot, and as long as you've got all the information you need in there, don't do a high insert name here kind of thing. That's what I think anyway.
It's a mixed bag. I get emails from publicists and from bands directly. It really doesn't worry me one way or another. The only thing that it's changed my opinion of over the years is that some publicists I know their stuff is good, so I'll open it sooner than some other ones. And other times I get it from Publicist and I go, how the hell can you afford this for the band? You don't need a publicist, do that yourself. You're just throwing away 5-10 grand when you could do everything in here yourself. I understand why bands do it, and bands do get to a stage where they need to have a publicist, someone who has the right connections, but if you're just starting, a lot of the time you don't need it. Do it yourself, you'll get a lot better reach, email lists and things like that. But generally, no. If it's someone, like you said, if it's worded correctly, then it grabs your attention, just read it. I don't mind.
I think it can be a lot of work, that's the thing. Emailing and contacting.
But that's what being in a band is.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I mean, how many outlets in this state would actually print you without having a spend behind it, or without having an established name? There's not that many. It's something
at
like,
the age.
There's about a handful. So to employ a publicist to do something that you can do over 5 emails.
Although, I mean, if you're thinking about print and stuff, like
there's a low level band. As far as print goes, you're probably still only looking at 3 to 4 publications, and then radio's a whole different story. And if you're not getting radio play, there's nothing to back up the print. But to employ a publicist at a really low level when you're basically, like, your highest paying show is say $300, to take that and put your own personal money into it is trying to overexpose yourself before you're ready to. It's running before you can walk. And I've taken offense at that, and there are stories about publicists leeching bands who aren't ready to be leeched yet, and I've ignored them on the basis of that. So that's
because you can see they're taking the band for a ride.
Absolutely. If you charge someone $800 for something that they could have done themselves, or like you said, like more, 5-10K, that's something that they could have done themselves within, if they'd just taken a Sunday to sit down and Google my email address, Google your email address, your email address. It's 15 minutes. We're all pretty accessible people. To then charge someone, like, there are publicists who will approach you as a band member to say, oh, we've caught wind of your existence. Here's a package for us to price out to you, and you'll totally get Triple J play, and you'll totally get all this sort of stuff. And if it's under 10K, that's a load of bullshit. But it happens, and I see it, and I just ignore it, and it's sad for the bands because they've spent the money on it. But then what I'll do if I see that is I'll approach the band themselves.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
And I'll say, this is, you've been ripped off. Usually I'll approach them at a festival after I've had a couple of drinks and be like, oh, so that email from your publicist and that insert publicity department are a bunch of rip-offs, and you totally already have my phone number in your phone anyway, so you should just call me.
And that's the other thing. If they contact you, they contact me, and we like it, we're going to do the publicity for them. You're just going to go, hey, have you heard this band? The amount of times that I've got bands played on the M's because someone sent me something and I've said, guys, you've got to play this. Like Chaos Divine, a band out of Perth, did a cover of Africa by Toto. And they're a heavy band. The boss was away. So the second in command said, I like it. He didn't listen to the song the whole way through when it got to the end of the Death Growls. We played it like 5 times that day.
I want to hear that.
It's great. It's really good. So yeah, you've just got to have the right people batting for you rather than going for a publicist that might take $5 grand off your hand and really not deliver much.
Well, there are a lot of leeches.
Yeah, there are.
In this industry.
No scruples.
Well, no, it's not about scruples or anything. I mean, we have an industry that's built upon, like, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, there wasn't a course on how to be a music publicist. Or there wasn't a music industry course. And now we've got 20 kids a year going through this course. And there's not enough jobs. So what do? They start their publicity company, and then they have to do whatever they do to get through. Or they start a record company, or they start So to then expect them to make a living out of it, when if they're not picking up the guitar themselves, they've got to do something. And we all came from a musical background to a degree. It's if you come off a piece of paper background and not the treading the boards background, it's a different story. Did a radio course, band man. But
It was a 10-week course. And there was no certificate. And I started in Lithgow.
And you worked your way
I
up.
worked my way up. I moved 13 times in 3 years.
I think
I had to live in Adelaide, man.
It's Radelaide, come on.
there are so many different Adelaides.
I just call it AIDS.
Yeah.
Oh,
I banged your Adelaide.
oh good.
Yeah, that's good. I just think that those courses that are so heavily pushed to mostly to early school leavers, they tend to give people a different perception of what the music industry is. That you will finish this course and you'll have a job.
Yeah.
So we get sound engineers finishing their sound engineering course, and then they go to their closest venue and then they're like, well, we've got a sound engineer.
Yeah.
We go to their friend's band, they're like, yeah, we've got a sound engineer. So
I feel like it's similar in journalism to a degree. I mean, there's a lot of talk about how difficult it is to get into the industry, but there's still thousands and thousands of places at universities every year, and no matter what, whether it's music or journalism, it's a hard slog. Like you need to make sacrifices. You just need to be so passionate about it and kind of work your way through. I reckon.
eat a lot of mee goreng. and drink. And this is why dollar pot nights existed during the 90s and the early 2000s. So that we can all get drunk.
Exactly right.
They
Chevron
still
should
do.
do
I
dollar
think they've got
spirits. Brilliant.
$2 pot nights now on a Monday. Yeah, which is good because it's after deadline for Beat. So you can get drunk after you email Beat Magazine asking for editorial.
There you go.
Now I think we will wrap it up soon. I studied music business for 6 months. I went to Tyes Hill College in Newcastle. I left high school wanting to be an actress or a hairdresser. So I applied.
To Newcastle too, man.
Yeah. Hey, I was in Tyes Hill. I get yelled at by hookers. And so I applied for a hairdressing apprenticeship, applied for TAFE because I was managing a band already and had friends in bands and was putting on gigs, and also applied for NIDA School of Performance because I was going to be an actress. And I applied for all three. I got a call on the same day to accept me into the hairdressing apprenticeship and accepted me into music business school, or TAFE course. And I made that decision to do music business. And I only did it for 6 months because I then got offered paid work in the music industry. And I turned to my teachers and I said, oh, what do I do? Like, I haven't finished my course. And I was freaking out. They said, you've been offered a job. You're going to learn more on the job. Here's our personal emails and phone numbers. Contact us if you ever need help. And we've remained friends. A lot of them I now deal with on a professional level, which is really great. And I think they do get a little kick out of that, knowing that I was their student, 11 years ago. And from that moment on, I've been working in the music industry, and that was 11 years ago. But I started when I was 16. So it's kind of that thing where I've always had it as my hobby and my passion. And I've always been doing it on some level. And I did learn a lot more on the job. But it was good to get me networking with some really great people. I met so many fabulous friends from doing that course that I'm still friends with and work with today. So I'm not poo-pooing education, unlike Thom.
I think it definitely can open a lot of doors. And, you can, if it opens the right doors and it leads to opportunities where you learn more on the job, that's amazing, and you create those contacts, and contacts are so important in this industry. We were talking about PR before. If I think it's more about, there are some PR agencies that are really good and have really great contacts, and it really is just weighing up and thinking really hard and seriously about whether you should take that step and pay, or whether there's someone who is going to offer you some PR for free, or I think you need to find what's right for you as well. Yeah.
How does a independent band approach a magazine such as Beat to get exposure or an album review?
It's the same as it always has. It's you send it
in the post?
in the post, the olden days post. You can send a link to an album, and then because all of our writers are independent of Beat, they especially our album reviews and our live music reviews, they're not paid at all. So it's not a paid thing. It's not a paid thing at all. There's no money exchanges hands at all for the magazine to review your album. So when our writers receive every week a list of all of the albums that have come in, goes out to every single one of our registered writers, and then they pick and choose which ones they want to do. And it's mostly just a love project for everybody. So if you've established a relationship with the magazine previously, if you've been covered, if our writers are aware of you and they think that something that you've done is worthy of their time, they'll put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll give those guys a go. But if you're just out of the blue, Johnny and the Johnny Banana Splits doing his
What was that band name again?
Was that your band
Johnny
name?
and the Johnny Banana Splits.
And the Banana Splits.
Joey Junior Shabadoo.
Yeah.
Shabadoo, yeah.
If you're just putting it out there, like there are literally crates of CDs, crates, that unreviewed CDs that are now weeks and weeks old, if not months. And there's a fire sale coming up this week. If you just want to come down to me, pick up a crate of CDs, it'll be $5 a crate.
Have you ever looked back there and gone, holy shit?
Oh, there's some classics in there. Like when we clear them out every now and then, and there are stories about the CEO of Beat Magazine taking the whole crate down to Dixon's and selling them.
Oh,
wow.
no.
I don't know if that's a true story. I like to think that it is.
Well, when I was volunteering for CineFam, which is the local community radio here, we would get free CDs given to us to review and to play on air, and I would then re-gift those to family members for Christmas.
You have to pick off the sticker that says not for retail sale.
I'd actually leave that sticker and be like, oh, it's a cool thing. This is going to be worth something one day.
Yeah, we when I worked at Pivotal in this music PR company in London, we had little stickers on all of our CDs that we were plugging. So many friends got those for presents. I can't tell you. It was great. They loved it.
Yeah, I mean, struggling journalist equals you can give away CDs for gifts.
Yeah.
The thing is with bands as well, they send in stuff to be reviewed, and exactly like you said, you get like 4 or 5 follow-up emails going, hey, did you listen to my CD? And you're like, there's 150 sitting on my desk that I'm trying to get through, and they do take time. That's the thing. And you've got to do them in the order that they came in, or if the ones that grab your attention, you've heard of this band before, geez, and someone else is talking about it. So creating a buzz, I think, is a really important step for your band.
Or at least establishing a relationship.
Yeah.
Like
Even an email to say, hey, we've got this CD coming up.
Yeah.
Cool, get in touch with me when it's out. It might keep you top of mind.
That has actually literally worked.
Yeah.
I've had a guy that I met at the pub one night email me the next week saying, I've got an album coming out. And then 2 weeks later, he sent me the album. It was reviewed. Wasn't well received. But it was reviewed. and that's how it's literally it's got nothing to do with how good your music is. It really doesn't. It's about how you approach it and how many people you know before you.
This goes back to what Tua said just before, the networking stuff is just so important. It's getting out to local gigs, it's talking to the bands that are playing, it's talking to their other halves, it's talking to the barman, it's talking to everyone.
There is a band called Bat Piss.
Correct.
Selling out shows all around Melbourne, and you cannot put them in a genre.
No.
You
Great
cannot
band.
put them in. They're a great band.
Yeah.
But the only reason that they're a great band and that we know about them is because we know who they were.
I think
And they're hard workers.
developing your community as well. So your online community, your Instagram, your Facebook page. I don't know whether Twitter is.
MySpace.
Well,
Yeah, MySpace.
but you know,
Coming
like
back in a big way.
really, if you have thousands and thousands of followers on Instagram, that is going to help you. Like, it's going to help you in a range of ways. It's going to help you get your message out there, and the way that you do that is you got to put work into it. You got to engage with people.
You got to pay the $52 to get your thousands of Instagram
Don't
followers.
do that. No, don't do that. But you know,
you can pick the fake ones.
But I think, you know, like increasing your social presence is important. You know, even just what
Memes.
memes.
Post memes.
Post memes.
Funny memes every day.
Post memes.
I spent yesterday making gifs of Peter Garrett dancing. Not the whole day, but a good hour. It was real fun.
He's a good dancer.
He's great.
He's got some
Is there an
moves.
employer here?
No, but my co-worker is. But he was just telling me what he would
yeah, I
do
know
when
what
the
you
boss is out of town. It's
Yes, it's
fine.
all
It's
right.
fine.
It's fine.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up because it's been a time.
Just on that social media thing, though,
Absolutely. No, go.
there's a lot of booking agents and managers and stuff. They won't even look at your band unless you've got like 5,000 plus active followers and active people who get engaged.
Which is bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
It's
But
bullshit.
that's how they gauge it these days.
Yeah, but when you think about it, you know, it makes sense from exposure levels,
It's
from how many.
lazy. It's lazy. Like, you can have 5,000 Facebook followers and then 20 people show up to the show.
Exactly right.
But if the guy from, you know, the booking agency can't, or girl, sorry, can't even get down to one of your shows to see how effective you are at marketing yourself to an audience outside of Facebook, then they're not worth dealing with anyway.
It is going to help you though. Like having that presence
I agree.
is always going to help you.
I agree, but I mean, we had this argument at work recently whether someone was cover worthy. Sorry, you know, we're wrapping this up. But it was so we'd been approached to do the cover for this band. I'm not going to say who it was, but we sat around and we argued, and someone just piped up, oh, they've got, you know, 32,000 followers on Facebook, but I haven't heard of them. No one in this room's heard of them. They're just that's a
Must be a metalcore band then.
it was a Nova band.
Oh, really?
It was a pop. It was a pop act, and they were doing an Australian tour. But that doesn't mean that they're the same. Just having Facebook following doesn't mean that they're pickup value for us, because we need pickup value to be on the front cover. We can't put, you know, the old mate who's playing blues at the Brunswick.
You can say the
Hotel.
Spotted Mallard. Say it.
The Brunswick Green. On a Sunday, and we can't put him on the front cover because no one gives a shit.
Yeah, you need your Lemmys and...
We've got to put Louis Theroux on the front cover,
Yeah.
which was awesome, by the way. That's actually a
Which
really
is
good
this
article.
week and available on the table over there
For
near
free.
the kitchen for free
Every week.
if you'd like to
I
pick it
love
up.
this show. I'm going to get the Beat magazine now.
It's actually a really lovely interview.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you everyone for coming and thank you guys for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, Cassie. Thanks, Spotted Mallard.
Yeah, thank you.